of horns.
Well, no, Oklahoma. So what I don't understand is like everything that they do revolves around around the Longhorns. Like they don't have their own thing; they just have this. You know what I mean? And that revolves around Texas.
Yeah,
it's like I find it funny.
Well, do you want to know?
Are you stepping on my turf, pal? Because I'm hook 'em till I die.
Do you want to know how there's proof that Oklahoma sucks? It's the only thing. It's the only thing keeping Texas from falling in the Gulf.
All right.
I feel it.
There is a beer called Oklahoma Sucks. I think it's from Austin too. It's have not had, but I can imagine that it either sucks or I guess that it sucks. I don't know.
All I know is that the boys from Oklahoma roll their joints all wrong. They're way too skinny and they're way too long.
And how exactly, Katie, do you know that this is the case? Can you?
Because it's a song. and I believe every song lyric. I believe every song lyric that I hear.
I believe every. So if I were to say, "Pop the hood, tell me what you see," do you have?
Then that means that your car's on fire.
that was terrific. That was terrific. By the way, I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kyle, my buddy Kyle Francis shared that in our thread. I was like, oh, nice. Hey, and speaking of my boy, what's up with the special edition? I was like, yeah, I'm going on the open bar tonight. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going on a special edition tomorrow. I was like, okay, one up me. What's up with that?
Look, LJ, this is your first time on, pal. You just ease into this.
Right. Okay? I need.
You're trying to get onto the special invite show when you just came on 5 minutes.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Special edition.
Katie, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait.
I'm trying to get answers.
Out on me?
Katie, we're gonna wait till LJ leaves, and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You're holding out on me, Gabe. Gabe. And J. Mike, I expected much better from you. Come on.
Why would you expect better from me? I don't understand.
Do you want
because I'm your girl.
Do you want to drink?
Drink? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I pressed the live button like 8 hours ago, but we've just been talking, having a good old grand time. It's the open bar. It's live. It's 9:30 Eastern-ish on a Tuesday. Things have happened. Or some would say we're waiting to see where Justin Hardy lands. So in the chat on Twitter, if you were on those things, get at us. We want to know where he goes. We are on the Hardy watch tonight. J. Mike, my man, how you doing?
Still no breaking news on Justin Hardy. I did just get word in the chat, and shout out to Spoonie. Spoonie hit me with the Perryman backing out of his contract, apparently for the Browns. I completely missed this earth-shaking news.
This is huge.
Baby.
So apparently a $4 million contract from the team that gave you a shot is not good enough when OBJ comes to town, I guess. Is that how this works now?
He's wide receiver 5, and he doesn't want to be wide receiver 5. He's just a crybaby.
I think you got to give Perriman props because how many guys got that self-awareness to know that they may be, not quite the odds-on favorite to pass Odell Beckham on the depth chart. Props to him.
How was that again? Was that like this or this? Like, I couldn't quite see where those fingers were, Justin. Props to him for recognizing the fact that he sucks and that he should have just taken the $4 million, held the clipboard, done whatever. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so that's where I am, Gabe. I'm broken up. I'm all broken up about Rashad Perriman.
Justin Hardy and Brashad Perriman is where we're starting, and we might finish.
We're looking at the Brashad Perriman suicide watch now.
Hey, shout out to Brashad. We're here with you, man. We hope you land on a team, get paid. You know what?
Hey,
whatever.
Perry,
whatever.
We want Justin Hardy to get paid.
Daylight comes and me wanna go home.
Yep.
Hey,
Mr. Perry, man, can't you catch the football? Daylight comes and me wanna go home.
Is that do you take that lyric literally as well, Katie? Is that
what do you he might as well take his ball and go home.
Or at least play
contract, no games. Contract. I refuse to take $4 million because Odell Beckham Jr. is way better than me.
Well, if you haven't heard, one of our guests tonight is Katie Flower.
Yo, what's up?
She has room service on speed dial, ready to come through and fill that cup. That's what you told him. You said, do not let this ice be the only thing inside of this glass.
This better not run dry.
Exactly.
That's what I said.
Welcome back, Katie.
Thank you. It's really great to be here. Gabe, when you asked me earlier on Twitter, want a drink? I knew exactly what you meant. And my reaction was what, Gabe? What did I say?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Because you guys are cool AF. LJ didn't know it. If you didn't know it, AF means as fuck. There you go. These guys are the best. They're the bomb diggity dog. And it's a lot of fun. Always fun to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It clearly needs to happen more often. I don't know how I forget that this is what happens. Yes. Looking forward to everything. Justin, also a return spot on the open bar. He's got new looks. If you're looking at us YouTube live, I'm sure the chat, J-Mike, you got to tell me whatever the chat is telling me or telling us rather about Justin and his hardwood floors. Like, do you got the Swiffer ready to go? Is that in replacement of your mic?
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, it cost me $35,000 to have this hardwood floor installed on this wall behind me. And that's before having it waxed and polished every day. I get that done every day because I just make it rain like that.
The only problem with making it rain on the ground at this point is that you're kind of just going to be like throwing money at the wall, and it's not exactly going to stay there.
My floor is made out of drywall. My wall is made of hardwood floors.
Inception too. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, Justin. Happy to have you, man. Happy that you came back. Not Justin. J-Mike, you kind of worried me that he would never want to come back and hang with us again.
It was totally in my head. I'm a weirdo like that. My bad.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. Well, shout out to the newcomer to the open bar, LJ. The yep.
Yeah.
LJAF.
Yeah.
Gabe, I feel
he's
like
got all kinds of initials. He's the Game of Thrones here.
I feel like we have to play his theme music as he comes in from the pod.
Run it.
I got the low tones.
Yeah, let's go. I can't do it right now. Sorry.
I should have.
I wasn't ready.
I ain't dancing to a slow song.
And as you can see, I do not have the green screen with the hardwood floor in the back. So.
Well, you do have some sort of. I mean, if that is a green screen, you really got a nice one. Justin, what is you doing?
I legit felt like that was a green screen with the hardwood effect on the back, but apparently it's not.
We'll never know at this point, honestly. Maybe I should Google image some wall art and have it superimposed on my hardwood floor.
Yes, please do that. If you ever do decide that is a green screen, can you please put the JF up next to your head? Because I really just enjoyed that. Man, yeah, welcome, people. This has been yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's the It's the opening bar. Actually, I think I forgot this part.
That's my
down, J-Mike.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. That's a classic right there.
Yeah.
That got me pumped.
You have
right
to just
there.
start freestyling every time you hear it. You just start flowing.
It's very much a freestyle beat.
Yeah.
Shout out to our first lady, Casey Kasem, putting out the freestyle onto Twitter earlier. Getting over the, anxiety hump. She killed it. It was fun. All right. What should we talk about?
There's not much going on this week.
I know, that's the thing.
I don't know what to talk
we didn't talk about the combine last week on the open bar somehow for 2 hours. Should we just talk about that? Should we jam out on that for 2 hours instead?
No.
Perfect.
Combine is old news.
Most recently, this is
did
unlike.
Justin Hardy sign yet?
Yeah, hold on.
As Justin Hardy, he's a free agent. Has he been
Hardy
picked up yet? He's an ECU Pirate, dude. Like that's number one right there.
Justin, what are you hearing on your end? What are you hearing out of Carolina right now?
A roster spot is now open with Brashad Perriman leaving Cleveland. So
wide receiver 5.
Not a bad spot in Cleveland at this point, I think. Wow. So yeah, kind of shook Twitter, shook fantasy football, shook the world. And fortunately, we're here to talk about it, an hour or so after it happened. OBJ, a Cleveland Brown. You heard it here first on the open bar. Breaking news. No one, they released this information to us. Gettleman hit me up and he's like, look, we don't want to have a franchise surrounded by the number 1 overall wide receiver in football. Like, why would we want that?
I thought that was Sterling Shepard.
We put our trust in Sterling, and we'll go from here.
Ingram.
And Evan Ingram, and that guy we drafted top 5 last year. We'll go with him too.
He's okay.
Pretty good.
But when it comes to OBJ, I do find this interesting on a lot of levels. Obviously, he gets away from Eli, which is fantastic, right? But let's also talk about the fact, and I heard somebody shout this out earlier, OBJ's missed a ton of games over the last several years. So as fantastic as he is, and I like him a lot, we at least have to keep that in mind, right? Yes? No?
No.
Not really.
See,
the missed games last year weren't all that bad. The dude snapped his foot off of his leg and obviously wasn't going to play the rest of the season. It was maybe poor. I don't know. You can blame it on poor conditioning or whatever that it was, but he didn't play the whole season. And it just so happened that it happened at the beginning of the season. So I don't know that. Yeah, sure. He missed a few games last year and he seems to be dealing with hamstring things every once in a while, but come on, J-Mike.
So what are we supposed to do then? I'm saying in terms of Cleveland as a whole, what are we doing? Or even New York? Where are we going with any of this information? What's actionable?
They have the depth at wide receiver, though. You got to think, right? Cleveland's set up. Let's say OBJ misses a few games. They still have Callaway. They still have Landry and Njoku. Two-headed freaking running attack. And, they're set up there. And what I think is
with
hilarious.
The draft ahead of them.
What's that?
I said with the draft ahead of them.
True. They still have some.
But carry on, LJ. Sorry.
Oh, he's frozen.
Oh, no.
You broke LJ.
Said anything. I'm sorry, LJ. I'm sorry.
I thought he was just being petulant because you interrupted him. He was just like, okay.
LJ, I'll never do it again.
I'm never going to ever talk to you again because you interrupted my thought. Go ahead.
This is what Justin did. He said this is why he's not coming back. Okay. Yeah. Carry on.
No, I think to go on LJ's point, like there's a lot of depth there. I think if something were to happen from an injury standpoint, I think they're kind of insulated. But you will never be able to replicate OBJ's production in offense, no matter what you do, no matter how deep you are, no matter how many contingency plans you put in place. When he goes down, man, that's the season. It's like losing your starting quarterback. There are only so many Nick Foles stories where you can overcome like such a dramatic hit to your team. So I don't have any problem with going all in on him. I actually just noticed, I think Andrew Brandt tweeted out that this year on the cap, the Giants are going to take $16 million of Odell Beckham's contract, and the Browns will only come up with $17 million. So, the Giants stay losing, I guess, because although they did get a pretty nice little haul for this, they got a lot. Let's not completely discount that, but it's like, what are you doing? You know, you draft a running back, which is some sort of indication that you're ready to make a run, but now you just basically give away the keys to the kingdom. I think they're screwed, man. Unless they're planning like a 5 year from now rebuild, in which case it's like, why'd you get Saquon last year?
I think this is a sign that they are going to replace Eli Manning. I think that Dwayne Haskins, they're either going to move up from the 6 to get him, or they're going to take him at 6, and they're going to take Dwayne Haskins, and then now they've got another first round pick that they can potentially take a wide receiver who they want, and they're not believing in Eli long term. It still means Eli could be the quarterback for 2019, just like the Patrick Mahomes with Alex Smith type thing in Kansas City. But for the future, now they're set up more. But this indicates to me that they have no faith in Eli Manning, which they shouldn't. And they're ready to just start to rebuild and do it without having to suck for like years to come. Yeah, I don't know it's going to work. I'm just saying I don't know that it's going to work, because it is to replace Odell Beckham Jr. with just rookies is still just a crapshoot. They have to draft the right people and get the right coaching, and everything has to fall into place. And I don't know that that's going to happen with the Giants. They're both New York teams. They both suck. But my point is they've got no faith in Eli Manning. This move proves it.
Yeah, and they could have gotten out of the Eli Manning deal for only like $6 million this year, which I think would have been wise. But instead, they're going to keep him around and pay him, I don't know, somewhere in the $17 million range. So I don't know. I mean, I'm so against the bridge quarterback. That's my most recent article I wrote on Number 5 was about like sick out of the bridge quarterback. You're either keeping a guy there who's going to take reps away from the guy who you're clearly saying is your franchise quarterback moving forward, and you're dedicating resources to it. It's just like, it's crazy. It's so counterproductive, and teams like insist on doing it over and over again through some sort of like, really unquantifiable measure of a rookie not being ready or a rookie needing to learn how to play NFL quarterback. When there's a lot cheaper ways to do it and a lot better ways to set your team up going forward, and without necessarily franchising or, mortgaging your entire future by getting rid of the best player that you've had in 2 decades.
And Freeman, one of the interesting things that was just brought up in the chat, and shout out to everybody in the chat. Obviously, if you're listening to this in podcast form, you're missing out on the live show here, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. Never late, always on time.
Mm-hmm. Is that on a shirt yet, J Mike?
No, but we definitely need to get one. Saying that, Jake Anderson shouting out a lot of information regarding Baker, which is fun right now. So
let's just poach all of that information so he can't say it on his pod.
Won't do him like that. But Zach from the Dynasty Dummies, what's up, bro? He had an interesting question, Katie. And I think this was in response to you talking about Odell moving out, and even if they are stockpiling assets to try to move up and get Kyler.
No, I didn't say Kyler.
He brought up,
I said Dwayne Haskins.
That's what I'm saying. So if
okay,
because Gettleman hates Murray, right? I forgot. So if he is wanting to stockpile assets to go up and get somebody like Haskins in general, wouldn't you think it would behoove them to stockpile actual good players to surround Haskins with? Or is it more important to go get the Haskins first and then figure it out later?
Well, do you not think that Saquon Barkley is good? Do you not think that Evan Ingram is good? Do you not think that they got Kevin Zeitler for a reason? I mean, I think that they are stockpiling. Odell Beckham was a diva, and he was hurt a lot. And so if you can get rid of him and get a first and a third and Jabril Peppers, that helps you not only now, but in the long run. I think they're free of his contract. They got an extra $16 million or $17 million towards the cap so that they can go out and spend it. I think that this is a sign, an indictment of Eli Manning, and that Eli is for sure, like, you heard all kinds of conflicting reports. Is Eli Manning going to be there for 2 to 3 more years? I don't think so. I think he's now going to be the tutor, and Dwayne Haskins, or maybe it's Kyler Murray, but I think it's more Dwayne Haskins is going to be the tutee or the student, and kind of like the Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes thing, they're going to work with him for 1 year and then buy Eli, and here comes the new guy. And they miss, like, how many years in a row are they going to suck? How many years in a row are they going to be picking 2, picking 6, picking, in the lower half of the 15? They've got to right the ship. And from a perspective of that aspect, I think they're finally heading in the right direction. They still have to make the right picks. They still have to make the right moves. But, you've got Dallas, you got Philadelphia, you got Washington. That's a very competitive division. And they got to do something. I think this is finally a decent move for them.
But you got to think, they don't need to mortgage their future with Odell Beckham, send him off in order to move up and get that quarterback. They have the assets. They have, the picks that they can still move up from 6 if they need to grab the quarterback.
But it's not just for the quarterback. I think to put other pieces around. But go ahead.
Yeah, but I think maintaining Odell Beckham would have been huge. I mean, you get rid of Eli, saving cap there. On top of that, you're drafting a young quarterback who's controllable for the next 5 years at a very decent price. But the main thing is maintaining that special player in Odell Beckham Jr. I don't care. He's a diva, make him happy. He's the best wide receiver in the league. That's my opinion on it. And I don't think they had to go that route. And what's going to be even more damning is when they don't go and get that quarterback and they try to maintain this.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? That's Gettleman, dude. There was
I didn't say they were smart. They're there for a reason every year.
The Podfather and Evan Silva, they did a terrific pod this last week with Gettleman, and you could see that. That's not too hard to fathom them doing all this and still, maintaining their direction with Eli based off of that pod. They did a really good job of painting the picture of how terrible Gettleman is as a GM. It'll be interesting, man. I feel bad for Giants fans right now. That's for sure.
Man, Gabe. You are as big, if not bigger than any other OBJ stan. How do you feel about this?
Okay, well, hold on. What did you say after OBJ?
I knew that would get you. OBJ stan. What'd you call me? Tucker?
You keep my name out your mouth, Jimmy.
Before I pop the hood on you,
You want this car to break down on you? Is it believable now that he's the wide receiver 1 yet? I mean, I was tagged in some things last week of like between Hopkins or OBJ, who was the wide receiver 1. I'm not entirely sure, but I didn't get the question because they were saying that Hopkins was still the wide receiver 1. And I said, what are you talking about? How can someone still be something if it's someone else in the first place? So yeah, sure. He was in a rough situation with Eli, if that's your, I don't know, tandem excuse, but it wasn't ever before in the last 5 years that he's been this high in rankings or whatever talent perspective that you have. Now that he's in tandem with Baker, that everyone's been nutso over, and arguably that's okay with me. I mean, now can we believe it? Like, where were y'all at before? I don't really care if it's a stupid argument to be like OBJ versus DeAndre Hopkins, but is Baker enough to at least just think that it is over the top OBJ now, or what?
I kind of think it makes a big difference. If there was like one takeaway I had from that, is that offensive situation is everything in fantasy football. So going from Eli to going to Baker, if Baker can do anything to build on that first year where he's averaging north of 2 touchdowns thrown a game, and you think, what could OBJ theoretically accomplish in that offense? The only downside, I think, is target volume. You figure out exactly what is Beckham's role going to be in the offense. We've not seen Baker necessarily force feed it to a specific guy over and over again. There were shades of that with Jarvis at points last year, but it wasn't consistent. You weren't firing up Jarvis every week in DFS or anything like that. So I don't know whether Baker is going to give a guy a 30% target share or not. And I think that's a significant concern because Eli was going to do that. So, the situation's better, but the market share might not be there. I think it kind of washes out. A guy who I think deserves to be in that general tier and conversation, though, is Juju. With AB leaving, J Mike's eyes got wide when I said Juju right there. But he's right there, man. I mean, he's got all the opportunity in the world right in front of him. There's nobody there to stop him in an offense that throws the ball 600 times. So why not Juju?
Trying to manage this chat and do all sorts of fun stuff at once, Freeman. But you said Juju, and I did get a little excited. Might have even peed myself a little bit. I'm not sure. The Gabe, in reference to your question, I think I've been Hopkins in our discussion about this over the last couple of years. Hopkins. Let me introduce my man, Mr. DeAndre Hopkins, Section Chocolate. So I'm just a big fan of DeAndre Hopkins. I love his game. I love the fact that he's open even when he's not open, and he catches everything. And obviously OBJ's fantastic. But even amongst all of that, and even lost in a lot of this, might be the fact that OBJ is walking into a situation with Baker, and it's not just a situation with Baker Mayfield, but we've got what's his name coming up from Tampa Bay? The offensive coordinator. I can't think of his name now. The coordinator who basically Monken, yes. And I know Evan Silva was big on Monken earlier in the season when he was calling plays and whatnot in Tampa. And obviously that was when Cutter came back in and took over play calling in some spots and kind of got muddy. But he's also there with Kitchens and Baker and OBJ and Landry and Njoku. And I think, Gabe, what's really interesting, all the excitement that we saw about the Browns offense last year. Remember how we looked back preseason and there were like six or seven guys that we counted in like the top 110 in ADP for Cleveland. That's going to happen again, except this time. Exactly. Except this time they got a lot better. Like Baker's
players are good now. It's crazy.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt's there, Nick Chubb. Obviously Duke's still around. So Duke's going to be your lowest guy at I don't know, probably 185 in ADP, but still somebody you might be able to flex on occasion. And it's man, Cleveland's going to be a lot of fun, man.
They're probably not going to be a Cleveland Brown. I mean, you go and scoop that up now before he gets traded to a place where he's going to score.
I like that. Go ahead, LJ. What were you saying about the defense?
Oh, I was just saying defense too. I mean, these guys are definitely in line to contend.
Yeah.
It's their defensive line alone. Larry Ogunjobi, you got Olivier Vernon. I mean, Myles Garrett.
Forgot about Olivier Vernon.
Sheldon Richardson. You know what I mean? It's yeah.
They are for real.
And you know who built this roster?
That's scary.
You know who built this roster? It wasn't
Sashi.
No, it wasn't Sashi. John Dorsey put this thing together. The football guy, grinding the tape, watching these players, going out, grabbing them. I mean, come on.
As they say on Twitter, Sashi died for our sins. That's what's happening. Sashi died so Dorsey could live right now. That's what's happening.
Yeah, no. It's that's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment. I mean, Sashi put it all together for Dorsey to go out and then select the right players and acquire the right players. But I mean, yeah, big kudos to Sashi.
Tyler Gunther, what up, Tyler? In the chat says, what if Cleveland is still bad? Is it possible?
No, it's not possible.
I don't think so
either. Tyler, shout out. I love you, man. But I think that they not only will be good, but they're going to produce a lot of fantasy football. Baker Mayfield is going to be a super flex gem. He may even be a top 5 quarterback this year. Odell Beckham Jr. returns to the top. Gabe, hats off. Jarvis Landry in a secondary role will still get his. I think that David Njoku of that offense is going to be the one that eats the least. Nick Chubb is going to benefit from the wide open box. And I think overall their offense is going to move. Their defense is going to shut people down, and they're going to be a dominant force in the AFC. I think they're going to make the playoffs. The Giants, on the other hand, I think they're going to struggle, but fantasy football wise, I think Evan Ingram benefits from this. I think Saquon Barkley benefits from this. And Eli Manning is just a short-term guy I think whoever the quarterback that they bring in will benefit long term. And if they get a wide receiver 1 out of the draft, if they hit it right, then I think in 2 or 3 years, the Giants fantasy wise could have a nice overall perspective like they do now.
That's what the Giants are going to do with that. What are they? The sixth or 7th pick?
6th pick.
They're the 6th pick. They're going to take that wide receiver. They're going to go. They're going to replace OBJ with Cap or Harry or something and disrupt the world again.
I think they're going to go first. I don't think that they're going to take an Odell Beckham Jr. That's not what I'm saying. And there isn't an Odell Beckham Jr. in this draft. But I'm just saying that I think they're going to get their quarterback of the future. And if they can get there's decent wide receivers that could be developmental. It just, again, it depends on if they hit on the right one. Sometimes people
it's deep. I mean, you'd be surprised if they didn't take a wide receiver in this draft, with the class, and they just got some picks too. So
knowing what we know about Gettleman, would we really be surprised if he takes DK right here?
I know. No, it could legitimately happen. He could take a wide receiver at 7.
They said screw quarterback.
Oh my gosh.
6.
Yeah, I can see it. I can totally see it. So follow-up question here, and we can either tie a bow on this or keep going. Go ahead, Freeman.
I was gonna say, here's a did you know? I was actually, as soon as the OBJ news came out, I went over to Bovada to check the Browns Super Bowl odds like immediately to see if I could get a jump on it, and they're at plus 2,200, so 22 to 1 odds, and now they're all the way at plus 1,400, so 14 to 1 odds. So talk about a single dude moving the line a lot.
Honestly, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, probably should have took it at 22. I was kind of hoping they might be in the 30 range, but oh well, no, you live in.
Man, oh man, I'm taking it back, Gabe. This messes with me.
This whole thing, this whole evening that we've had with
so much.
It is. Well, we're talking about Baker, Katie saying might have a possibility of being top 5 this year. Like, seems like he might be the dynasty QB too now. Like, we've talked about Mahomes kind of being a sell high if that's your thing, just because he can't really get much higher than where he's at. Is that the same case for Baker, even though that there's obviously a spot above him, or do you want to go and get that? I mean, because with that roster, like, I want to go and get Baker kind of. I want to be a fish, and I want to go and get myself Baker Mayfield at whatever cost they're asking of me.
So then that's the question, Gabe. If there's one guy that you're getting in this offense that you're trying to trade for in your dynasty leagues, who's the one guy that you want above all else? Sounds like it's Baker for you. Who would you guys take? Who's the one guy that you really want to go out and buy at this point? Crickets.
Wow.
That's a tough one.
So buying no one, moving on.
No, when you
talking about on the Browns,
incorporate their price.
Browns,
it's obviously Superflex Baker's close to untouchable now with all this news and all these players, and he's who doesn't play Superflex nowadays? I have one.
Oh man, they're dropping like flies.
No,
LJ Baker. I think
there he is.
I kind of think that I think Njoku's kind of interesting too as a mix in this offense. He's going to fight for targets in a lot of ways. But he certainly's got a good future. You know enough about Baker at this point to be excited about Njoku's future, but you're also not going to sneak up on anybody. He's not a value in that particular type of way. A guy to keep an eye on might be Duke Johnson, who is kind of getting forced out of that particular situation, likely to be traded, or at least that's the speculation at this point. And you have to imagine that wherever he gets traded to, he may become revert back to that dominant passing game role, which is a great type of, basically RB3 flex type of guy in your lineup, especially in PPR leagues.
Katie, who's the one Cleveland Browns player?
Who's the what?
Yeah, I like answering. Who's the one Cleveland Browns player that you'd like to be going out and buying at this point in your leagues?
I would say that David Njoku would be the most discounted player. Again, people are going to say he's now in a bad situation, which he is, but he's a long-term play. He's young. He's athletic. Tight ends usually take 3 to 4 years to develop anyway. So it's a dynasty long play. If you can get any kind of discount on him, he's the kind of guy I'd be looking for.
I'm with it.
Aaron B in the chat hits us with, he says, I want Chubb. He said the Browns are going to be leading in a lot more games at this point. Do we worry about how Chubb's going to eat this year at all with all these changes? Or we still feel great about Chubb?
I feel great about Chubb. I get a chubby when I think about Chubb.
Speaking of Wubba Lubba Chub Chub,
Wubba Lubba
the Open Bar has t-shirts for sale. You can see it in our link description everywhere. theopenbar.storeenvy.com. Get yours today. Hardy watch. Where's Justin Hardy?
I haven't seen anything come up on him. Yeah. I've seen Kevin Mittner is now going to stay with the Bucs, linebacker for the Buccaneers. Ray Armstrong is now a Cleveland Brown. So they're continuing to sign defense. But I don't see anything about Justin Hardy. I see that Brashad Perriman accidentally melted his Reese's Pieces.
Oh, that's tragic.
I mean, how do you do that? How do you even do that? I don't get that.
Yeah, if you just keep them in the freezer with your Thin Mints, it's all gravy, baby.
There you go. And who doesn't keep them in the freezer?
Oh, no.
I don't mind Reese's in the freezer. Are we against that?
No, we're for that. I'm saying who Katie doesn't.
I don't know. J Mike doesn't. J Mike and Justin, they might be at us with this one.
Reese's in the freezer.
As far as the pieces go, I think if you're having to store candy, you're not doing it right. Like, you got to immediately digest candy as soon as it's purchased. There's no room for advanced planning in the candy phase.
Well, I don't know. We live in Texas and everything melts in Texas, so we have to keep our candy in the freezer.
Yeah.
And plus it tastes better. It really does.
That's true.
We got him. We got him.
Points scored.
No, I think that Reese's in the freezer is literally the best candy that there is. It's just when you said you put them next to the Thin Mints, Gabe, I'm just
side by side.
That was the part I couldn't get with.
I take 2 Thin Mints and then I put a frozen Reese's.
Make a sandwich, a frozen tundra sandwich. It's a homage to Green Bay. Instead of cheese curds, he uses Thin Mints and Reese's Pieces. It's extravagant. It's
what an abomination. What an abomination.
I think you should try it before you knock it, J Mike. Come on.
I mean, I'm very curious, but I don't know. Like,
I'm Thin Mint curious.
I'm Thin Mint curious.
Thin Mint curious. So real quick, LJ and Freeman, when it comes to Girl Scout cookies, what is your preference? Just curious. Asking for a friend.
Samoa's.
It's really like it's tagalongs and then everything else.
My man, let's go, Freeman. Okay.
What are we even talking about?
LG comes
Chocolate
on.
and peanut butter has been undefeated for like 500 years.
Thin Mints that you dip in peanut butter and drink with a glass of milk. That's what I'm talking about. You get the best of all the worlds. Frozen Thin Mints dipped in peanut butter, chunky peanut butter if you want, and then add a glass of milk or a shot of milk, or you take a little Di Serono on the rocks and add a little milk to that. You got almond milk, and you got the Thin Mints, and you got the peanut butter. Damn, you got everything. You got it all.
I'm getting talked into this now.
You gotta try it, man. Try it before you buy it.
LJ, the Samoa contingency is strong, and they're even strong in the chat right now. Jake Anderson he said, I knew LJ was going to say the right thing. That's what he hit.
It's simple. It's pretty easy. In my book.
Well, LJ, prove it. Not J Mike. Jake, prove it. All you other Samoa fools, prove it. There's shirts right up there at theopenbar.storeenvy.com.
When did we get all these infomercials? This is so new.
We keep coming up with references, and that's all we're going to be saying eventually.
I'm not sure if you guys saw this. Niners just, well, not just a little bit ago, traded for D Ford, offsides Ford. If you will. I'm still kind of bitter about that. And that really goes out to you, Aaron, in the chat, Aaron B, Mr. Bogan. D4 doesn't line up off sides. Chiefs are playing the Rams for what I was hoping for a much more fun Super Bowl. A little bit sour
if
about
candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Who's winning that? Who do you guys think wins that? Chiefs or Rams?
Ooh, hypothetical. Let's get it.
Chiefs.
Me too.
I would hope so. I mean, that's who I wanted to win the Super Bowl. The worst possible outcome for me as a fan was Patriots, Rams.
The best possible outcome was the Patriots won.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was all for the Patriots, man. I don't like the.
You just said it was the worst possible outcome.
No, he means like the two teams playing, like the two teams playing.
Yeah, the two teams playing.
Oh, okay,
but fan,
once they were playing,
but once they were playing, for me, yes,
okay. Yes. All right, I'm with you. I still want to know who the hell was the fan in the AFC Championship game with the damn green laser light.
That's
where is he at? Like, why is he not fined and suspended and like kicked out of?
I'm surprised they didn't
Stadium
find that
for the rest of it. Yeah, exactly.
That's math, man.
It is. I mean, shit.
It's geometry. Come on.
It's the new math. It's what do they call that? Common Core.
Common Core. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're different down here.
I saw a Common Core car earlier today. It had headlights on the side, and it had the windshield was on the roof, and yeah, the bumper was on the side next to the horn.
Some of y'all don't really understand that joke, but Katie, I got you.
Okay, well, good. Everybody else is shriveling. Their heads are wrinkled right here. Gabe, you see that? Everybody else is shriveling their head.
When are we going to move on to the Antonio Brown trade?
Yeah, exactly. All right, Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown got a new car. Did he get himself a Lexus or did he get himself a Yugo? What did Antonio Brown get himself into?
Should we talk about that one, or we still want to talk about the Browns and the Giants? Are we good with that? Sounds like we're good with that.
Mr. Big Chest.
Yeah, 40.
The blondie.
Not you too, LJ. They didn't get you too, man. Please say it ain't so.
Yeah.
No, if you want to talk about Big Chest, let me just put that right out there. Yeah, they're not fake. They're not fake pigskin right there. We got the real deal.
This ain't fake pigskin, okay?
This ain't fake pigskin. We got the real thing here.
Shit. And see, yet another reason why you need to watch the live YouTube show, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday nights.
It's never. TVMA. It's always on time. Mm-hmm. I'll finish that thought for you, J Mike, because we are just like right there. We're right there. Yeah.
This will be pixelated on the podcast.
Looking like Minecraft or something. What is that mess? So when it comes to, I am curious when it comes to Antonio Brown and that trade. Obviously, we saw Derek Carr be super successful. Was it 2 seasons ago? When the Raiders were balling, Jack Del Rio was living it up. We thought he'd be the man forever. Was it 2 or 3 seasons ago? I can't remember.
My name is Jack Del Rio. I ain't got a crystal ball, but I think Amari Cooper is the best of them all. Then they traded and they got Gruden as their posse. Yeah, they suck now. Sorry, I just had to do it.
That was fire.
That's what happens when the beat takes over. You just got to go with it. I'm not mad at it. I don't even remember what I'm saying.
You're talking about Jack Del Rio. And when 2 years ago, when Derek Carr was actually looking pretty good.
Which was interesting.
Over under for Antonio Brown, 180 targets.
Under.
You guys said that with a lot of conviction. about that?
It was pretty easy. Yeah. I think he might end up around 140, 160, but I don't think 180 is possible.
So you don't think that you don't think he can get to the 168 that he just did?
I said 140, 160. You said 180 under or over, right. And I said under. So
and then you said 160.
So
she's proving her point right here.
168 is less than 180. Am I right? Or is this Common Core shit? Come on, J Mike. Help me out.
Is this some type of sick joke?
You said 140 to 160.
That's what I said. That's my guess, but that doesn't mean you asked over under 180.
And now,
what did I say? So now you're trying to drill it down? You're trying to put me on the spot?
And now the question becomes,
okay.
Do you think you can get to the 168 they had last year?
I think it's possible. I think that's on the high side. I do. I think that's on the high side of the outcome. But
I'm just curious, where are the targets in Oakland gonna go at this point? I'm just curious.
I don't know.
I think
who knows?
Antonio Brown's really exciting to talk about.
I don't think Oakland's going to have much of an offense. I think their defense is going to be on the field more than their offense. So is there going to be that many targets to distribute, Mr. J. Mike? What do you say about that? You think so?
I think
he's about to get J. Mike.
I mean, what do I know? I host a podcast. I co-host a podcast about nonsense, so I don't know anything, but in terms of dynasty, I feel like it is going to be a case where if we're looking at and who knows if they bring back Jared Cook, I'm just trying to figure out who's even there for them to distribute the actual ball to right now. Right?
We haven't had the drop yet. We haven't had the rest of free agency yet.
But
you're worried about something that hasn't even happened yet.
I'm not worried about it. I'm saying I think he's going to get the work. Like that's not. I don't think that's a question.
He's going to get the work, but is Derek Carr going to get him the ball?
That's a good question.
Right. So even if he gets targeted 160, 168 targets, he can throw to him 300 times. Like I don't know that that's going to move the needle a lot. I don't think that he's going to be the only thing in the offense when all is said and done. I don't think they're finished making moves.
And it looks like they had when they kind of had the Cooper Crabtree combo at their peak, they're both hovering around $140 a piece. So yeah, there's right now there's not another person there that can get the 140. So I mean, can they return to form from a couple of years ago and get to that 140 again with a far better wide receiver than Cooper and Crabtree? Yeah, of course. But how much more? I guess that is a fair question, J. Mike. With it being under 180, yeah, probably. That's a lot of targets, man.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to see.
Yeah.
Are we gonna put a bet on this?
Yeah.
Is this gonna be a live bet?
The open
Katie, I'll give you this.
I'll take the under, so you get the over.
So give me. Let's do this. So Julio had 170 targets last year. He led wide receivers with 170 targets.
Yep.
I'm gonna say that Antonio Brown leads the league in targets. Period. I'm just gonna say that. Will you give me that?
I'll give you that.
All right.
You're taking Antonio Brown. I got the field.
You've got the field.
I'll take the field, baby.
Mr. Big Chest is about to be Mr. Big Targets.
And Mrs. Big Chest is about to win this bet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's the bet? What's the wager? What's on the line here?
Yeah. It's got to be like what is
something pretty steep?
A bottle of your favorite liquor since it's open bar. I'm Crown Royal. You're gonna have to get me a bottle of the Crown Black.
What's that running for nowadays?
I don't know, 60, 70.
Girl, I got bills.
Is that, yes or no? Or I mean, you could do regular Crown. It's negotiable. I don't know what your paycheck is. All right, we'll work it out. We'll work out the bet.
Whatever that first one you said is definitely not that. I say that much. Wait, that ain't it.
You want to make it an Abby bet? Just a Twitter Abby bet?
You know what? I like that. Give me.
I
don't even like. Here's the problem. I'm not even the biggest Antonio Brown fan. I just keep looking around, and I'm thinking, why would they I'm just trying to figure out why Oakland does what Oakland does, and I think that I'm probably just going to twist my mind in knots thinking about it, which is probably stupid.
John Gruden is at the psychiatric office right now getting therapy. Nobody can get inside his head, not even the therapist.
You hear that, J. Mike?
I did. I heard it loud and clear.
And Antonio Brown needs a therapist. Look at the jeez. He's
not
just
anymore.
gone off the chain. I know, not anymore. Now he's happy. He's got a new car.
Peter threw out in the chat. Peter threw out in the chat. He said, "Carr is now discount Mayfield."
No.
Oh, Peter.
No. No. Nah, we ain't gonna take none of that. Nope. I like Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr, but no.
Yikes.
What are you drinking, Gabe?
He has one tequila. He has one weapon there.
That's tequila?
It's Reposado.
Okay. Well, I guess it's sippable.
Oh man, the Casamigos. Shout out to Casamigos. You can get yours at
800-555-1212. Don't call that number.
Derek Carr is hold on. Is it possible that they swing up and get Kyler Murray with the multitude of picks they have now?
No.
What if they finally decide that Derek Carr is not good like halfway through the season?
Well,
when?
Then they can trade for Blake Bortles, who's going to have no job.
My guy.
Yeah.
My boy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
Carr as a guy, like as long as you pay him a mediocre quarterback and pay and do like a mediocre quarterback, and you either got to pay him like the next Aaron Rodgers, or you release him and he goes out. The quarterback market is just crazy. I mean, there is no thing. If you can go for like $12 million a year, which is what he's worth, be a great quarterback. You could do it with that cap and that money, but I would take that deal.
Is that me or is that Justin?
That was 100% Justin. J. Mike is fuming right now. Nah.
But you got to think, you always hear, past execs when they discuss picking the wrong quarterback and trying to make them your franchise and how much it sets your franchise back. I feel like if they were to go out and grab a QB, obviously you have some good talent in next year's class, but this one, they have the picks to facilitate their holes while still grabbing a QB. And I don't think they necessarily have to move up for Murray. They could very well like Haskins as well. Right there at 4. Obviously, there's always the chance that a team jumps them. But if there was a year that they wanted to move on from Derek Carr, they're sitting in a prime position, sitting there at 4 to do it. So I wouldn't put it past them at all.
Would you guys view at all right now Derek Carr being someone that you try to get on the cheap, or is he someone just staying away from at this point?
He's shown enough.
It depends on
the past.
Even cheap now that AB went there, like he probably is gonna be more expensive than he. I mean, he's still cheap, but sure, like a little bit of a bump.
I found that interesting.
I could use a bump.
Try before you buy, Katie.
Yeah.
I do want to look up this ADP because I feel like it's going to be really interesting to see how. I guess they're probably already in the March ADP drafting right now, so I'm curious how it looks in April when they run this back. But I'm going to look up Derek Carr real quick because
look it up for March right now. And while you're doing that, J. Mike, I feel this situation is kind of when the Jaguar were comfortable enough to keep going with Blake Bortles, where they could have drafted, the Deshaun Watson or kind of whoever they wanted, really. And there was talks of that they might go and swing on Deshaun, and they never really talked about anyone else's team. But they could have done anyone, it seemed, and it would have been better at this point. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening right now. However you feel about Derek Carr, I don't know, but I don't think it's Blake Bortles necessarily bad, but I think it's kind of a disguised Bortles of sorts. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't, why not swing on a quarterback with the picks there? Like, I just don't get the comfort of Derek Carr.
Or even
last year, like overtly taken, and he still threw for a #969, and the best of his career. So it's not like just like a bit, just surrounded by nothing. Like, so probably the best receiver in football on his team. If they could surround at least one more option where it's not just stare down AB, the end of the barrel, he could have a very nice season. It was, like I said, 3 years ago, a 12-win quarterback. He's capable of putting up. I'm just not entirely sure like who the car is at this point. But if you're just jostling around, low-end 2B type starters, then Derek Carr makes a lot of sense. You're trying to find a guy who can give that kind of upside. So why not? I mean, if they make enough splashes in this draft and continue to in free agency, who knows? Le'Veon Bell still unsigned. Le'Veon might be an Oakland Raider. You might have the Killer Bees over in Oakland. Now that's kind of cool to think about.
I got a update today that it was like they were like finalizing a deal for Bell at the Raiders, but I've seen like the same kind of thing for the Ravens and the Jets, and he turning his Twitter green. Like, this has been so like insane around Le'Veon Bell. I have no idea like what's happening. But before, we don't have to get there yet. Sure. Swing on Derek Carr. I guess I'm just curious what happens this year and beyond. I mean, it seemed like they were in a good position to succeed with Crabtree and Cooper. They said Cooper was kind of the problem last year, and he leaves and he goes to Dallas and he finds success. So I'm not necessarily a believer in that. I don't know.
I just think that dysfunctional teams create dysfunctional situations, and that it's not necessarily all on Carr. I do think that he has weaknesses, but he's shown some strengths that we're not there all the time. We don't know the insides of the whole organization. To my mind, I think that Derek Carr has the ability, with the right coaching and the right situation, to turn everything around. So I'd be more willing to see him get another chance rather than just throw him out the window.
It's just been such a weird vibe from the Raiders, though. This whole
exactly
ever since Gruden got there, it's just been so weird. You've never had, I guess, reports as Gruden stating that this is our guy, this is what we're doing. And every time like a player is mentioned linked with the Raiders, or when AB finally got to the Raiders and you see Derek Carr tweeting all this stuff out, and my reaction is like, oh man, that's sort of rough. He's sitting there all happy, and who knows, he could be out the door here in the next few weeks. That's just the vibe that I get from the Raiders. So who knows? The whole thing with Gruden and the direction he's going, it all seemed pretty unclear until that AB trade and what they've done with those picks. And I do think that, like Katie said, though, he has the ability, he has the skill level and the talent that he's shown in previous years. And it's what blows my mind is how something like that can just all come together for one season, then all be lost. Everything's just clicking all at the same time. Obviously, they had a top 3 offensive line, but that's not necessarily the case.
You look at a guy like Nick Foles, who just had a big payday with Jacksonville, 4 years, $88 million. And he's had signs of good Nick and bad Nick, where he's looked good with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's won them a Super Bowl, but then he gets traded and he becomes a starting quarterback and he looks like crap. Then he goes back to the Eagles and looks good again. So is it the player or the organization? Is it all of the pieces of the puzzle together? It's such a mixed bag of, it could be any number of things, but I've seen enough flashes from Derek Carr that I do believe in him as a player, that he does have it in him.
Mm-hmm. And the main thing is just whether or not Gruden
right
him in as a player. And
yeah,
we'll know that here shortly.
I don't believe in Gruden, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think he's such a freaking fake.
Yeah, that was.
Or should I say fucking? J Mike, would you be happy if I dropped an F-bomb and said I don't fucking believe in John Gruden? How about that?
Katie, you know that you can put your feet up here. You're good.
I forgot that for a minute. I forgot that for a minute. Yeah. I have to be PC all day, and then I forgot. For a minute. But now I remember. I'm among friends.
That's a fact.
Yes.
In March 80.
Well, no, too far.
March ADP. Derek Carr is going as QB 28. Wow. And obviously ADP is not.
I bet that jumps up to 20, honestly, or better.
Perhaps
the AB bump.
Yeah. Try before you buy.
Man.
Right.
That's bonkers. QB 28. Okay. Let me ask you guys this. In the chat, they had talked about this. Oh, breaking news.
Watch.
Justin Hardy.
Sorry, still no news on the Hardy front, apparently.
Oh.
However,
watch 19.
Brashad Perryman will sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
What?
R.I.P. Chris Godwin.
Here goes Chris Godwin.
For how much? Is it the same type of contract?
Same deal. 1 year, $4 million. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, they just let Deshaun Jackson go, and they just let Adam Humphries go.
It's
Adam
time.
Humphries. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Boy, Godwin.
What'd you say about Godwin?
Like, I'm in Tampa, man. He should crush this year. I don't know what his ADP is right now, but I mean, everybody should be all over him. He's a special dude, and he's just missing that opportunity. And hey, there's nobody left.
By attrition, he gets the nod.
Yeah.
But what about Ronald Jones?
Katie knows how to just.
Man, she just knows how to tear a man down just right. Just right.
I'm just wondering. Just ask you for a friend.
Hey, at least you're a friend, J Mike.
if this is how she treats her friends, I don't know how she's treating her enemies. Dang on. Hey,
that's a bar, J Mike.
That's a fact. Listen. No, I'm not even gonna do the Rojo dance. It just makes me sad right now. Can we go back to Chris Godwin for a minute, Gabe? I don't think he's not someone that I feel like we've talked about on the bar before. So can we have an extended discussion on Chris Godwin, because I find him interesting.
I don't think he gets enough respect on his name.
That people, but I'm curious. What is everybody's thoughts on Chris Godwin? Is he one of these budding guys that you guys see as like pushing top wide receiver one type of guy? Is he top 18? How do we view Godwin?
Seems like people are a little bit concerned about, Mike Evans being there and what quarterback is going to be able to support two top 24 wide receivers, because it's not McCown and everyone hates Winston, or now we believe in Winston, now we don't. And that's kind of the train or rather a roller coaster. Trains are flat. A roller coaster with Winston. And I don't know. I think that people also hate Mike Evans. So if you hate Mike Evans, then like Chris Godwin, I feel like there would be some sort of correlation to that conditional statement. But man, I don't know. I feel like he's around the right price. Like he's one of those, I guess I don't know anything about where his ADP is at, J Mike, but probably it's somewhere between 6 and 8 round. Which is certainly cheap enough to go ahead and swing on a guy that's in position to be able to be in that next tier. Like we're bonkers on him coming out, and now we're cooling on him. Why? I guess I don't get it.
Have you ever been to Maine, Gabe?
Want to. Shout out to Zach and Kyle. The canned lobster there is great from what I hear.
Lobster. It's lobster. In Maine, trains are not flat. They go up and over the mountains, and you live in Austin, so there's not a whole lot of mountains down there. I get it. So trains are flat as compared to a roller coaster, but your analogy wears thin for people in Maine. Just saying. Chris Godwin, I think that Chris Godwin is somewhere between wide receiver 24, 36. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 1. I do think that he's very capable. I love him a lot. I picked him a lot in Devy. But with Mike Evans there, with Jameis Winston there, even with Bruce Arians, I think that he's going to be a good complementary wide receiver 2 with some really good games, maybe some wide receiver 1 game upside. But somewhere between 24 and 36 when everything shakes out.
Well, thanks to our friendly site, FF Statistics, you can obviously go and check Bruce Arians' past scoring for his wide receivers and stuff. And the average for his wide receiver 1 is 17th overall. His average for his wide receiver 2 is 39 overall. So unless you think Chris Godwin is going to be that wide receiver 1, which I don't, it's Mike Evans. You got to expect the highest for his wide receiver 2 is 25th overall. He did that 3 times. Actually, 14th overall back in 2009 as an OC. I mean, I would place him as a low end. Actually, probably lower end wide receiver 2 is his ceiling in that offense with Bruce Arians, based off of his history.
I'm curious because, okay, if that's the case, and obviously this is right in your wheelhouse here, LJ. So I'm curious of everyone's perspectives. If we're looking at Godwin in this class of wide receivers right now that are coming in, is Godwin the first guy that you take?
No.
Okay.
I would
take. Where would he
Harry.
fall for you?
I would take N'Keal Harry.
Okay.
Yes.
And I would take AJ. I would take AJ Brown over. I would take AJ Brown over Chris Godwin too.
I'd take Deebo Samuel over Chris Godwin as well.
Ooh,
that's a big statement. That's a huge statement.
That's not a detriment to Godwin at all. I think he's
right.
I like Deebo a lot.
I would take Chris Godwin over Deebo, but I would think it's fairly close.
Yeah,
but I would still say N'Keal Harry and AJ Brown hands down.
That's exciting.
Sure. Yeah, no, I have AJ Brown above Deebo, so yeah, I agree with that.
So let me ask you guys this: what do you? Yeah, bummer. Freeman's gone.
Goodbye, Justin.
When it comes to Deebo, is he top 5 wide receivers for you guys?
No,
for me, he's right. He's number 5.
Okay, what do you have him, Katie, or about whereabouts?
I would say around 12-ish.
Okay.
I don't.
Was that for
rankings.
Deebo?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be right in between what they said. Pretty much.
Between 5 and 12. Yeah. How about 8, 9? Give me 9.5. How about 10? 10? A little bit, maybe. Trying to be an auctioneer.
Yeah, give me back in a minute. I couldn't even try it if I wanted to. No, and I just find it because in leagues that I'm in, dynasty leagues, I feel like Chris Godwin is someone who people will try to extract so much value out of, and maybe, and I don't know if it's a case where I'm just I don't have a good gauge as to his value and whatnot. But when you guys say, like Katie, you say 24 to 36, probably somewhere in that range, so wide receiver 3. And when LJ, you're going to tell me that you're taking Deebo over Godwin, and like you said, that's a big ups to Deebo. I still can't calibrate what you all are saying with what I keep hearing from my league mates who feel like Godwin's on the verge of being this like top 18 to 24 monster. And I don't know how to feel or where to land with the information that we have. Obviously, Arians likes to put that ball up in the air, right? We know a lot about that. We know that Godwin's someone who did pretty well last season, and they've had a lot of hope for him over these last couple seasons. So now we're in this place where he's going to be starting opposite. Well, we think he's going to be starting opposite Mike Evans in a world where opportunity will be endless on a team that's not necessarily set to be great. A defense that's still super shaky. Jameis in his year 5 season. I feel like there's so many questions, but we're expecting a lot from Godwin to be something that I'm not sure that he is. So I just find it very interesting how that all works out.
I love the term top 18 to 24 monster. That's right on par with serviceable QB Tuesday, Mike.
There you go.
Top 18 to 24 monster.
Hashtag wordsmith. You're welcome.
Anything sounds good coming out your mouth, J Mike.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Just saying. It's on fire. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, any other thoughts on Godwin before we close that book?
Shut her down.
I think he's a fun person to have on your roster. Like, that's how it would be more than your like receiver 6 or 7 or on some sort of dynasty roster. I don't know. Like at this point, whether it was when you drafted him or in a startup now, like you're not relying on that. I don't think anyone is, but it'll be fun to watch him if he does get an opportunity, kind of thing.
Would you guys rather have Godwin or Galladay?
Galladay.
Okay. Would you rather have Godwin or Calvin Ridley?
I'd take
Godwin.
Okay.
Godwin.
Godwin.
Sure. Juju.
Okay. Godwin or
no. Bless you.
No, have it. Yeah, but Kazoom type, my brother. Kazoom type.
Did you just sneeze?
Salute.
Godwin or Mike Williams?
Mike Williams.
I think for me, I would take Godwin there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one is really
We
hard.
think
One's tough.
Split the difference.
Break the top 8. You know you want to.
I know I want it. I'd probably lean Mike Williams barely.
Because of Phillip Rivers over Jameis Winston, right? Am I right?
That's pretty much why.
Yes.
Narrative. You also consider the window that Phillip Rivers is in, but I mean, you don't have to necessarily think like 3 to 4 years out and just 2 years out. But yeah.
Ooh, this one's fun. Actually, I've got 2 more. Chris Godwin or Christian Kirk?
Ooh. I'd rather have Kirk there.
I think I'm with that as well. I think I want Kirk.
I feel like that's like so risky. Like I think the ceiling's obviously higher, like clearly higher, but I think there is risk baked into that, just kind of with the not knowing much at all of what Kirk. I mean,
pick, make a choice.
Hey, Godwin. I'm going Godwin. I don't care.
There you go. There it is. That's a stamp. Okay.
I already lost it. 2-0. Coming back.
What's the final?
It was 2-1 there.
Sorry, last one there.
I got swept and then I came back.
James Washington, Chris Godwin.
Ooh,
Godwin.
Yeah, Godwin. Close though. I think Washington has a lot of potential. I think Washington has a lot of potential. I love that kid.
Yeah, no. Let's say though, I have James Washington. Someone offers me Godwin for him. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that trade. So Godwin.
James Washington was wide receiver 1 at one point last year in rookie mocks or drafts or whatever.
Yes, it does.
It's nuts.
Like, remember, Gabe, just a year ago, Carson Wentz was QB1, and we keep finding people to put in front of him.
Yeah, I know.
Life people, comes at you fast in Dynasty. It's crazy. Anywho, Gabe, I'm out of bullets.
That's so.
Chris
Godwin. You mean that your drink is dry? Is that code? Is that code for something?
Yeah.
Out of bullets, yes, man. Womp, womp.
Should we
order room service?
We can kind of, yeah.
I'm my own room service at this time.
Sorry, talk to the hand.
Katie, I love you so much. You treat me so bad.
I love you so much, but you treat me so bad.
You treat me so bad.
Well, we can kind of close out here, but just however long this discussion lasts about Le'Veon Bell, because I did want to just is it narrowed down to 3 teams, or do we not have any idea? And let's maybe just assume that it is 3 teams between the Raiders and the Jets.
Ring my bell.
The Raiders, the Jets, and the other team that is the
Ravens.
The Ravens, right? Ravens, Jets, and Raiders. Which yeah, I've kind of heard splash of the Bucks too. Sure, throw that team in. Of the 4,
Rojo, say it ain't so.
Oh,
Peyton Barber stock going down.
His hits just moved so swiftly. 230. Oh.
I'm just interested to see what Le'Veon gets for a contract. Like, is he going to do more than what he got from the Steelers for sitting out? Or is the market going to say, hey, look, Mr. Running Back, your time is come and gone. Even though you've been great, you got a lot of tread on the tires, and you're not worth quite what you think you're worth. I don't know. I'm interested to see what the market says.
Yeah.
What was the franchise tag last year?
14 million, 14. I think. Yeah.
14.
I don't know if it was necessarily that for him it was 14 because that was was that their first tag or was that their second?
No, I think it was 14.
Yeah, no, it was 14, but was that their first tag or their second tag on him?
Second.
Okay, because usually the second tag it'll make it go up. So
right, that's why I thought it was like 16 or 16 and a half or something.
I don't
know. No, it ended up being like 14-1, I think.
Right. Okay. I think.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I'm saying you have to take that into account when you get your whatever deal he gets, $12 million a year. Also,
but he wants more than that.
I mean, it appears that he's not.
You can want in one hand and you can shit in the other. Is that what you're saying?
100.
Yeah. At his age, even though he's got one extra year of sitting out and recouping and everything like that, I still don't think that the league as a whole really values the running back position, even though this year is a down class. I don't know. I don't know that the man's going to get paid.
Yeah, we'll probably end up seeing like a 20, I don't know, maybe 22 mil guaranteed. I don't. Yeah, like Katie's saying, I don't see a team really putting their neck out there and being like, "Hey, here's your 12 APY." You know, so, I mean, he wants.
Plus, he's 14. Had the off-field. He's had the marijuana. Yeah. He's had other things, off-field issues. He's a off-field issue away from being suspended half a season. Just a big risk. His age is getting up there. There's all kinds of risk factors. Save your money and put it in a defense, offensive line, you know.
Escrow, anything. Anything but running back.
Dave Gettleman stock.
Just sign Tevin Coleman.
There you go. Hey, Tevin Coleman. Mark Ingram. Duke Johnson.
Duke Johnson will get traded, yeah.
TJ
Yeldon.
TJ, there you go. Thank you. TJ Yeldon.
I love TJ Yeldon. But seriously, of those 4, just real quick, who of those 4 teams, you know, money aside, whatever, we don't care what Le'Veon is making, just how many fantasy points that he's scoring, to a degree. But where would you like to see him land of those 4?
Baltimore.
Ravens. Who else?
Ravens, Raiders, Jets, and the Bucks, possibly, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, Bruce. Yeah, send him to Bruce. I mean, out of all those teams,
I think that he would thrive.
He's the one that's the most exciting.
I think he would thrive in Baltimore.
There,
what's that?
So Katie's favorite Rojo's there, though. So
yeah,
I don't know how that'll
tongue in cheek, right there, LJ. Tongue in cheek.
The day the Rojo died.
Yeah. No, I think with Baltimore, with Lamar Jackson and the way that they like to run the ball, but they're losing their defense. CJ Mosley's gone, and who knows what they're going to end up getting. Their I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that that's necessarily the best fit now. I just talked myself out of it.
Yeah. So you want Bruce? You want Bruce?
Yeah.
Oh, you want Bruce? Just say.
Don't bring me down, Bruce.
I just feel like you're saying, LJ, just in terms of the places that he can go, try to think about the offensive minds who he'd be going with and how hopefully they would equip him to do fantastic things. None of those other places really inspire confidence. Like we watched Gase butcher backfields for what was it, 2-3 seasons in Miami. Woefully mismanaged that situation. The Raiders are a literal black hole at this point. And then with Baltimore, I'm excited for what can be with Greg Roman and Lamar, but like Bruce's pedigree and what he's done with offenses is so fantastic. And ideally, if he did go there, I'm all about it. I'm willing to let my Rojo pride lay to the side so that Le'Veon can live. I'm here for that. Ooh, the Texans. Jake brought up the Texans.
Let Le'Veon live.
Yeah, Texans have always been kind of in the talks as well. I don't think they're necessarily out of it either, but that'd probably be on maybe the most exciting spot.
Yeah,
I mean, those like the four are so like, ugh.
Oh my God! Breaking news, guys! Give me the dot. Come on, J Mike, give me it.
Party watch.
Cairo Santos re-signs with the Bucks.
All right.
I thought you were really about to give me something good.
For one, shout out to Egypt.
Hey, kickers are people too.
Shout out to the Euphrates. All my people.
Shout out to Izzy.
You know what, J Mike?
Alcatraz,
You're just in denial.
The Pharaoh.
Oh my God.
Pun game strong. I see you.
Yeah.
All right, Gabe. Katie out. Oh man, that's good.
Yeah, that'll do it for the open bar this week. If we missed any free agent signings that you wanted to talk about, feel free to reach out to J-Mike Check. That's at J-Mike Check on Twitter. He would love to hear about your complaints and concerns about the open bar. If you're here with us live, you probably noticed that our main man, Justin, our main man with the green screen, Justin Freeman, his battery died of sorts. So it was a pleasure to have you on. First of all, Justin, thank you for coming on. I should really bring up his handle real quick so that we can shout that out for the people. And I'm saying words.
Justin Freeman 18.
So there it is. Justin Freeman 18. I couldn't remember the number. I knew it was Justin Freeman, but I didn't know the number behind.
69.
Justin, Justin gets down. Justin Freeman 18. Nice guy. Nice green screen. Thanks for coming, man. I'm looking forward to the time when you got a fully charged device. Yeah, just go hang at a Starbucks. To our other guests here, we'll start with LJ, since it's your first time here on the open bar. Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
There you go.
There you go.
He starts rubbing his hands. He was about to go in.
He was ready.
Oh, that gets me going, man. Nothing in my headset. I just sit back, press record, just let that go.
Easy.
Thanks for having me, guys. I had a blast. I know I was supposed to come on a while ago, but schedules, all that good stuff, change of schedule, got kids, all that. But had a babysitter tonight, so it worked out. I'm glad I got to jump on with all you, and it was fun, definitely.
There a possibility we could get, not to sound creepy of any sort here, but the contact of the babysitter so that we can reach out to that individual and make sure that you are lined up with a babysitter so that you can come on again?
Yeah. Actually, now that we're in,
that's what got Popcraft in trouble, dude.
Yeah.
Trust me, stay away.
No, so check this out. Now that we're draft season, I got a babysitter every Tuesday night. So
oh my God,
with the Debbie
J-Mike,
watch,
you hear that?
With the Debbie watch, Tuesday or Wednesday depends. So I jumped on a show last Tuesday, jumped on this show this Tuesday. I record mine Friday nights. I don't need a babysitter Friday nights, so I'm set up there. But now, since it's draft season, I opened up either Tuesday or Wednesday every week. That way, I can join the industry, to talk some football.
The Hive. The live nights, the live Hive nights.
But before we do cut out, LJ, real quick, obviously with the work that you're doing with Debbie Watch, the podcast, the actual production of the document itself, give us one guy that you're super excited about in this draft, and also one guy who's not in this draft that's a Debbie who you're also very excited about. It doesn't have to be your number one, but just a couple guys that you are big on at this time.
All right. So as far as this draft goes, one that's, I mean, you've heard rumblings about him, running back Alexander Madison. I think he's one that, as far as the running back position goes, super complete running back. He lacks the long speed. Obviously, that showed up on his 40, and that's one of the only detriments to his game that I was able to see when I watched him last year for the Debbie Watch. Went back and watched after that 40 time this year, and still, I mean, overall, just complete back. Great pass catcher, very good lateral agility. He sees the field as well as anybody. So he's one that I'm really excited about. Obviously, landing spot's going to be huge for him, but he's one that I want to see succeed because, you know, I've liked him for a few years now. As far as Debbie goes, a name up top, and a lot of people in the analytics world really like this guy. He's one that I came across 2 years ago based off of, you know, looking at Dominator ratings. We have a fluid sheet for college football. One of our guys, Debbie Warehouse, Greg Brandt, he has a fluid sheet each week. You know, we're updating targets, we're updating Dominator ratings. And early in the season 2017, I seen this kid with like 72% Dominator rating. So I checked him out, checked his film, and ended up being Tyler Johnson from Minnesota. So he's one that I really like. He's a wide receiver. And over the course of the last 2 years, obviously the statistics, the analytics were there for him. But the big thing for him was his development at the position. He was at that point, only a year into playing wide receiver. He was a DB and a quarterback in high school, and he gets under PJ Fleck and just, you know, blossoms. So his development as a wide receiver, as a route runner, his quickness at the line of scrimmage, everything as far as his physicality, despite his size. I mean, he's not limited size-wise. He's probably, I think, I want to say like 6'1", 205, somewhere in that range. He's one of my favorites. So Tyler Johnson, wide receiver, Minnesota. I was hoping he'd come out in this class. He decided to return to school, and here we are.
Appreciate that.
All right. Seems like Boise State kind of got a little bit of a running back to them sometimes, I guess.
Pour one out for Jeremy McNichols.
That was a rough
right. Exactly. Doug Martin, Jay Ajayi.
I'm interested to hear before we go who Katie likes in this class and who.
Same question to Katie then. Yeah. Segue. Boom. Katie Flower. The hogs in the sky waiting for you.
What's that other saying?
Chop suey. Hog suey.
Hog suey.
Is she frozen?
I think she's frozen. There's no way that she would mean mug like this for that long. There's no way. It's very unlike Katie to do that. Katie.
Oh, man. Womp, womp, womp.
Well, J. Mike, is there someone for you in this draft class, and I don't know how deep you are into the Debbie. You don't have to hit that, of course. I wouldn't put that pressure on you, my dude.
Yeah.
But at least in this draft, is there, you know, a guy? Is there a guy?
Just a guy that I watched, and I saw a lot of when I watched his tape, because I've gotten into that a lot this draft season.
You want to be like John Dorsey, grind the tape, and build a,
there you go.
Championship roster.
I want to build a championship roster. I really liked the Antoine Wesley tape versus Houston is as good a tape for anybody that you'll find, or like anybody out there. Like, I feel like he did so many good things against Houston, and I turned around and watched him against West Virginia. And he was so garbage against West Virginia. And I was so upset because I watched a guy who had amazing highs, and it was a lot of fun to watch him. So I think that I'm curious how he's going to work out and how he'll be drafted and those things. But I just like the player. I think that he exhibits good traits to be able to do a lot of things. It looks like he's fast enough. He's obviously a really tall guy, rangy. Good footwork, even though he's not the fastest. It's really, I think he's an intriguing prospect. I'll just throw that out there. Katie Flower, since she is back in the building.
I'm back.
Yes.
My internet went down for just a quick minute. Who were you talking about just now, J. Mike?
I was throwing out Antoine Wesley as somebody that I feel like is showed a really interesting tape. But the question is to you now, Katie. Who is I know you're big into Devy as well. One Devy player and then one player in this draft. Again, doesn't have to be your number one, but someone that you're big on at this point in the process.
One of the guys that I would love to see be successful in the NFL is Hakeem Butler. And the reason is for his story. His mother got murdered when he lived in Baltimore. He moved to Texas with his cousins. He had to sit out a year because of Texas transfer rules, even though it was high school. They thought because they were big basketball players, they thought that he had moved there just to play basketball, but he actually had moved there to play football. And because of the situation at home, the coach at Iowa State had been scouting him, really liked him, but they didn't have a scholarship open. They ended up losing a wide receiver at the very last minute. And so they had an open scholarship. The coach said, hey, and put Hakeem Butler's tape up on the screen and said, why not him? Why can't we take him? And everybody else was like, why not him? And they brought him in, and the rest is history. So he's a little bit raw. He's a big guy, very much an athlete, a hardworking kid. I would love to see him succeed in the NFL. As far as Devy, there's a lot of guys that I like, but there's nobody I like more than DeAndre Swift, my Georgia running back. I've had a long line. Everybody that's listened to me for Devy knows that I love Georgia running backs. First, I was a girly girl. Then I was a chubby girl. And now I'm a Swift girl. And I have always loved the lineage at Georgia. Their SEC, the dog pound, man. The dogs rule. So DeAndre Swift was... he's a running back that is not only the kind of guy that can run between the tackles, he's got good hands, he can receive, he's a hardworking guy, he's got good prototypical size already, and he's put up good production ever since he was a freshman, and he's got Saquon Barkley's blessing as like the epitome of a running back. If you listen to Saquon Barkley talk about DeAndre Swift, he has a lot of respect for the young man. So that's my favorite in the Devy landscape.
So, Katie, where can the good folks find your work, and what are you up to? All those good things.
Sure. I'm at underthehelmetdynasty.com. I'm on the Under the Helmet podcast every other week on the regular show and every other week on our premium show. So you don't have to be a subscriber. It's nice if you do subscribe, you can listen to the hundreds of extra podcasts that we have, and you can really get into my Devy talk if you're a subscriber. But if you just want to listen to the free podcast, I'm on every other week, and you can find me on Twitter at FF_Skyler399.
Is that an
LJ? I don't think you shouted yourself out, by the way.
Is that your area code, Katie?
802, baby. 802.
What's the 399?
399 is actually okay. So my favorite number is 69. So 399 is code for 69 because you take 9 minus 3 and it's 6, and then you got the other 9.
That sounds like Common Core.
Yeah, exactly. So 399 is actually 69 in code.
69.
Common Core bullshit, Katie.
That's right. Hey, but you know, you can't hate me.
I would have never guessed. I always just wonder, like you see like you see like a J Mike 7285, you know, something like that, and it's just like
399 actually does have significance. Nobody's ever asked me. You're the first one that outed me on that.
Yeah, no, I always.
And by the way, LJ, I just want to say I am very thrilled to be on your Virgin podcast for the Open Bar. You are wonderful. I love listening to you. I love your work, and we're both Devy people, so hats off. Much respect.
Yep, we got to stick together for sure.
Yep.
So you can find me as to follow up what J Mike was saying. So I didn't shout myself out. At Pacific Scouting on Twitter, the Devy Watch podcast, which is at Devy Watch. I'm a part of DynastyFootballFactory.com. And the big thing is the Devy Watch, the actual 2019 Devy Watch, which we do yearly now, dropped in February. You can go get that at DynastyFootballFactory.com as well right now for $15. 380 pages, 281 profiles, a lot of good stuff in there. So yeah, go check it out if you are into Devy.
We like them young.
Yes.
That's on their shirt. You can buy it at.
That's right.
Don't put that on a shirt, LJ.
I might have to. I like it.
Also, don't try before you buy.
It depends on your definition of young. I mean,
where are we going? Oh my god.
That's the real thing here.
Don't get me started, LJ. We're trying to smooth this thing out and go. J Mike's just crying.
We're not trying to be like a train in Maine right now, okay?
That's right. The train in Maine lays gently on the plane.
Ooh. J Mike, you can jump in whenever you feel like it, that things are getting too hot for you.
Man, I'm done for. I'm done. to everyone. Oh man, this conversation right now is plus expected value.
Indeed.
To everyone in the chat, thank you guys so much for checking us out this evening, spending your Tuesday night with us. Again, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube, and we appreciate every single one of you. The chat was lit. 2019, Gabe, it's been a fantastic year for us in terms of people checking out the pod, but especially the chat. It's been great. So thank you guys for checking us out. To everyone that's listening to us in podcast form, whether that be on Google, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, whether it's Stitcher, Podbean. The list goes on and on. Yes, you can even find your boys here on the Open Bar on Spotify. Shout out to everyone at Fake Pigskin. Thank you all for checking us out in podcast form. Hopefully we've been able to brighten your day, your workout, your commute, whatever it may be where you check us out at. Hopefully you're able to toast with us as well. To our guests, LJ, been a fan for the longest. Hopefully you'll trade me Vance McDonald at some point in Pigs 3. And even if you don't, I'm still a huge fan of yours as well, man. Thank you very much for joining us, Katie. As always, you're my girl. Appreciate you very much. Your perspective. I appreciate your wit. I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate even your woe pick suey. As gross as it is, I still appreciate it. But seriously, and even to Mr. Freeman, thank you guys for joining us very much. We're humbled that you guys would take some time to be with us. On Twitter, you can find my better half, Gabe Gearing, at FFManBun. You can find the show's handle at The Open Bar FP, as in Fake Pigskin. And you can find me on Twitter at JMikeCheck, at JMICCheck. Gabe, take us home.
We need to figure out how to Devi at some point so that in the future we can like have an actual conversation with people instead of them just being like, what's a guy that you like that's on no one's radar?
Like,
Tyler Johnson, Minnesota. Yeah. I'm out here like Googling, looking at him on College Pro Reference or whatever. I'm like, okay, 1,300 yards, pretty good. Yeah.
OBJ ruined everything because I really wanted to talk about Devi early. But anyway, I'm sorry. I digress.
We'll
next
get
time.
We'll get him. Yeah. I mean, it's not Devi season yet, is it?
Yes,
is it always? Is it always? I don't know. Like,
I've had 3 Devi drafts already this off season. Okay. So yeah, it's Devi season.
Okay.
Way to not know your Devi season, Gabe.
Yeah.
Okay. Year round.
Mm-hmm. It's just as much as Dynasty, then I suppose.
That's right. Yep.
All right. Fair enough. Well, I'm sure the high school recruiting day was a big day for y'all. It's like the combine of sorts for Dynasty.
The high school All-American game.
The high school All-American game, sure.
The signing days, kids changing schools, they verbally commit, but then they finally sign. And even then it's not permanent. Things change.
Yeah.
The only thing constant is change.
That's a bar. All right. Speaking of bars, I do those. I guess I do those all across the Twitter landscape, apparently, in podcast form. We're on the Open Bar, drop bars on podcast intros for other things. And we did a music video, my beautiful wife and her friend, we did a music video over the weekend and it was so much fun, and we popped the hood and it was lit and it was amazing. And go watch that on Twitter and YouTube and stuff. It was just so stupid and fun. More importantly, go and check out the Dynasty Diagnostic though, because I did the intro for those guys and they're amazing and they support me and they okayed the video before I put it out, which hopefully did not besmirch their podcast at all. But I think people Enjoyed it from what I can see. Aside from that, the open bar, we do a store, we do t-shirts, we got cookies, we got Wubba Lubba Chub Chub, we got teats. Speaking of teats,
what?
Oh, you weren't here for that?
No.
So, someone hasn't visited the open bar store.
You got what?
You heard right. All the teats.
All the teats. They go back. Just go back. Look, and listen to the Teetolated pod, Katie, if you find time. It was insane. So check and see what we might throw up this week. I'm sure it'd be something that Katie said it tonight. I'm gonna have to dig through and find something. But my goodness, we have so much fun here, and I'm just so happy to be able to do it with y'all every week. You know, the chat with you, J Mike, with you two, especially Justin, J Mike. It looks like you're trying to share the 2 stars of the show and pop the hood. If you're still watching, there they are.
On the right-hand side of the screen, you will see hashtag gearing of all time. That is the Miss Bungie.
Indeed. You can call the other one Jan.
Hey, Jan.
Call the other one Jan. Yeah. Shout out to everyone though, for real. And the polls were funny this week. I was the people trying to figure out what the optimal podcast length is or whatever. Shout out to people just doing podcasts, like whatever, just do your thing. Whether it's a 90-minute pod, a 2-hour pod, a 3-hour pod, a 30-minute pod, a 5-minute check-in. Speaking of a 15-minute check-in, the Dummy Blitz, J Mike, stop being bad at plugging yourself. It's out there. Go check it with the Dynasty Dummies, Dummy Blitz, 15 and out. Cheer! And do your thing. And shout out to the how many percent it was? 6 percenters that said 90 plus. Shout out to you. Shout out to 32% of y'all doing the podcast form, the 2% doing video form. We love you all. So I don't know. That's all I got to say, J Mike. Shout out to Fake Pigskin putting us on. My goodness. We got a community. That's what's up. We going to be here next week, J Mike? We're loaded. We can't stop.
Yes. Draft season is lit. As LJ busted out the news for, by the time you guys hear this, we may be doing a little crossover action tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Talking through some free agency stuff. And I guess LJ's on the inside. He's a insider knowledge here. But it's going to be
obviously not inside enough. I mean, God, I'm not.
It's going to be a reunion of sorts from a episode that was not long ago. So should be
kind of like the OBJ Jarvis Landry reunion that LSU boys reunited in Cleveland now.
That's sort of kind of like most that. Excited about.
Yeah. Katie, you know how to make me feel so good with your words. That's good. That's how you end the night. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. We got your back, brother.
All right. Well, until then, until we make J Mike feel good again next week, it'll be Tuesday. It'll be 9:30 Eastern. Let's put our drinks up, whatever that may be.
Almost gone.
It can be, eggnog. It can be a glass of water. It can be a fist. You can pump it in the air. You can just wink at us or something. I don't know. But thank y'all for being with us. My goodness, it's been a lovely night. We'll see y'all next week. And deuces.